Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Chat and Create. The last one I did was last year, so I think it's time for a new one. So for this episode, I will be talking about how I got into houseplants and what I learned from having plants in my space. Before I get into that, I do want to share what I am currently using right now. I am just using my Moleskine sketchbook and some micron pens. I didn't feel like painting for this video. I've been really into simple sketches with ink, so yeah, that's what I was going for. So how did I get into houseplants? My love for plants started with succulents, and that was back in, I believe, 2012. Mainly 2013 though. That's when I really got into it. I was always buying succulents from Trader Joe's and Home Depot, and I would bring them home and just repot them in like mason jars and bigger pots and just rearranging them. Yeah, I was into succulents for a while, and then I would say about 2015 was when I really started to get into houseplants. For the longest time, I tried to avoid buying houseplants, even though I loved how they looked and how I loved how it looked in other people's spaces. I just didn't think I had the green thumb. I just thought I would kill them right away. And yeah, that's why it took me so long. So 2015, I feel like was the peak of my love for houseplants. And that was also the peak of my minimalist journey. So I had gotten rid of most of my things, and I had gotten to a point where I needed something to really brighten up my space or just make my space more lively because my space was like all white. I had white furniture, white bed sheets, just everything white. And I did have some art pieces on the wall, but I felt like I needed some plants to give that like earthy vibe. The first real houseplant that I remember getting was a snake plant for Christmas. My dad had asked me what I wanted for Christmas, and because I was on a minimalist journey, every time it came to the holidays and like Christmas or my birthday, I would tell my friends and family that, I don't want anything. I just want to spend time with you guys. I was valuing experiences more than material things. So I kept telling my friends and family like, oh, I don't need anything. I don't need any clothes. I don't need any, random knickknacks. So I kept telling them that like, you can buy me anything that's like edible, like, I don't know, some desserts or things like I know that I will actually use consistently. And, I wanted to add more plants in my space. So I had told my dad, I was like, you know what, you can just buy me a plant because I really want to get into houseplants. And he's like, oh, sure, okay. So do I still have this plant? I have half of it. Actually, not half, just maybe. Okay, so what had happened was when we moved house, I had repotted my snake plant and into a bigger pot. And for some reason, it just wasn't doing well. So I ended up leaving it outside in the backyard. I basically neglected it for a few months until like one winter I was looking at it and I saw that there were new growth coming in. So what I ended up doing was that I took it apart and I took the new growth out and repotted that. So that's what I currently have right now, and it's thriving in my office space. So one of the easiest plants that you can start off with is definitely a snake plant. They are really easy to take care of. You don't need to water it as often. And yeah, that's definitely one of the top ones I would say to start off with as a beginner. Aside from the snake plant, early on in my plant journey, I had also bought a peace lily that was thriving, but then I didn't know how to take care of it afterwards when the flower was blooming. So after that, I just gave up on it. And then after that, I also got a palm that I remember getting from Trader Joe's, and then a massive Monstera Deliciosa from IKEA. And, at the time, I wasn't really serious about doing research on the plants and how to take care of them. Like, I didn't know much about the lighting requirements and just like how to water them. So the Monstera didn't last that long because, yeah, I remember searching on Google about how, Monsteras are toxic. You shouldn't touch them. So I didn't touch the leaves at all. Like, I would try my best to avoid touching the leaves. And now I think that's just silly because, you have to clean the leaves because if there's dust on the leaves, it's not able to, absorb the light that they need to grow. So I wish I had known that back then, but I'm definitely more knowledgeable now. So yeah, those are the 4 plants I remember starting off with. And thankfully I didn't get that crazy until late 2019. So 2019, that was when I was working a full-time job and I had a coworker that I was really close with. We shared our love for plants. And we discovered this plant shop in Old Town, which is Honest Thrift Studio. You've probably heard me talk about that shop all the time. But yeah, when we discovered that shop, we were literally going to Honest Thrift every payday. Like, we would spend our payday money on plants. And it was so fun. Like, we would go there every 2 weeks, buy like 1, maybe 2, maybe 4 plants. I don't know. I remember hauling back at least 5 plants one time. And yeah, that's when I started to really build my plant jungle in my space. And oh my goodness, I was obsessed. Like, that's when I started to get a little bit more serious and I was actually doing research on them. And then here comes 2020. The pandemic happened and everyone and their mamas were obsessed with plants. And during the pandemic, I got my sister into houseplants. And now she's just as obsessed as I am. And it's great to share this obsession with someone that I live with. And then we found out that my cousin was into houseplants, and then we got our cousin and one of our friends into houseplants. And because of this obsession that we had and that we shared, we started a plant club. We started a plant club I think it started, about a year ago, because we had talked about starting a plant club, I would say mid-June to July, but we didn't start our actual Instagram until August. So our 1 year for this plant club, Paradise Hills Plant Society, is in August. So we started a plant club in the summertime. I remember me, my sister, my 2 cousins, and one of our close family friends, we all met up at Honest Thrift Studio. And I remember we were going to Garden Coffee, which is the sister business owned by our good friend Jess, and we had laid out all our plants on the table. And then our friend Jess goes, wow, it's like you're having a plant party or like a plant club. And that just sparked something in us. And it really started off with my sister just saying like, oh, I really want to start a plant club, like a legit plant club. And so, of course, we were all on board because it just sounds so fun to share this love for plants and to create a community out of it. I honestly didn't think that it was going to be a legit plant club. I thought it was just going to be the 5 of us. But so many beautiful things happened from building this plant club together. But yeah, it's so much fun getting to meet so many plant enthusiasts around San Diego and just building a community and networking and sharing our love for plants. And every month we plan out a little outing for our members, and it's really fun. So we go to like different nurseries around San Diego. We go to different gardens and have little events where we just, mingle and chat and get to know each other and share our love for plants. And it's been really fun. I honestly feel like it really brought so many great people together, and I think that's so important to really build a community. So yeah, it's an amazing thing, and I'm so thankful to be a part of our plant club. But yeah, I think it's so amazing that just from your love of plants and sharing that online, you can really connect with others and build friendships from that. So yeah, 2020 was definitely the peak of my plant obsession. I had probably gained 60 plus plants in my space. And to think about it now, it's a little crazy, but I do know some people who have over 100 plants, and I'm like, how do you even have the time to water them and take care of them? Because for me, having 60 plants, it was too much. And it's especially hard during the winter time because I always find that a lot of my plants have died during that season, and it's so heartbreaking. So now I currently have about 38. So it's almost half the size of what I had before. And it's totally fine because I feel like having gone through that whole phase of buying all these plants, I finally know what plants I know how to take care of and what plants I actually truly love. Because at the time, I was just buying plants because they were popular, they were pretty, and it just looked good in my space. But I had to ask myself, like, do I truly love this plant? And do I know how to take care of it? Am I able to, give it the care that it truly needs? So this year, I definitely had to stop myself from constantly buying plants every month. I mean, I still do when we have our plant meetups and we go to a nursery. My rule is that I can only buy 1, maybe 2 plants, but I always tell myself to just get 1 plant at least, nothing more. And I've been pretty good so far. And being a mindfulness artist and just someone who practices mindfulness every day, I have made it a point to be more mindful of how many plants I take home with me. I always ask questions to myself. Like when I'm at the nursery, I ask myself, does this actually spark joy in me? Do I have space for it? Can I actually take care of this? So now I'm just more focused on taking care of the plants I currently have. Like I really want them all to thrive and to grow bigger and bigger, and not having to always replace one when one dies. I really want to get better at taking care of them and watching them grow. And speaking of growing, that's another lesson that I learned from owning houseplants, is that growth takes time. Like, this has helped me a lot during the pandemic when I was, in a dark place, just thinking about the things that I was going through last year and just how I used to compare myself to other people and comparing my own success with others and realizing that, in order for me to get to where I want to be, I need to enjoy the process of my own journey, and that growth truly takes time. And you may not see the growth right away, but in time, you will see how much you thrive and have grown over the past weeks, months, and years. And you just blossom into this beautiful plant. But I remember those times during quarantine when I would just sit with my plants and actually look at all the new growth and how excited I would get every time a new one would come in. And I thought to myself, like, I should really get excited about the little wins that I have in my life, whether it just be getting up in the morning or being consistent with my yoga practice, like really getting excited about it and celebrating those little wins. Another thing that I learned is that when you speak kind words and you are in this vibration of positivity, your plants will grow. If you ever own plants and you notice that, like, it's seriously amazing. If you're constantly speaking out negativity, your plants are gonna die. I've seen it. so many times in the past. And like I would literally speak to my plants and I would touch their leaves and just be like, "You're so beautiful, you're amazing, you're thriving." And then the plant constantly is like pushing out new growth. And I would be like, wow, see, your words matter. Speak kind words to yourself and to others because it will bring out great things. It will make you feel more positive, more joyful, and you'll even thrive. And if you're wondering what my favorite plants are, I have a bunch. I love ZZs, I love philodendrons, pothos. I kind of like some calatheas, but they're so finicky. Thankfully, I do have one that is actually thriving in my office space. So that one is a 50-50. They're beautiful though. I also love Hoyas. Hoyas are so beautiful. What else? Ooh, but one of the plants that I have right now that I got from one of our plant members, it's some cuttings of the Micans philodendron. The Micans, oh my goodness, the leaves are so velvety and so smooth. Like I love to touch the leaves. And I put that one in LECA and it's thriving. If you guys don't know what LECA is, LECA stands for Lightweight Expanded Clay Aggregate. So it's an alternative to soil. And the great thing about LECA is that it's less prone to getting pests. And that's the worst thing about having houseplants is, the soil, especially when it's super moist and soggy, it attracts fungus gnats. And it's so annoying because some of my plants right now has a lot of fungus gnats and I have to put the sticky traps in there. So that's why I love LECA. And I'm hoping to eventually convert most of my plants to LECA. The Micans is definitely one of my top favorites right now. It always changes, but I love the Micans. And I just watered it today and it's pushing out so much new growth. I'm so excited. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Chat and Create. I had so much fun talking about plants. I hope you enjoy listening to me talk about plants and just my thoughts on plants and what I learned from them. If you guys want to see more episodes of Chat and Create, let me know in the comments. I know I don't do it too often, but I do really enjoy making these videos. So comment down below if you would like to see more. I hope you all are having a great day, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye!